Hello, my kin. My name is Ken Ping, but you can call me Ken. And today I've got another tier list. Feels like a while since I've done a tier list, so I decided to do a tier list. And for Women's History Month, which is this month, if you did not know, I decided I would do this tier list all about the female superheroes of the DC universe. And now, obviously, as you can see here, this is a lot of DC villains and superheroes, but I haven't got all of them here. When I finished making this, I realized there were quite a few big ones I missed out, so I'm sorry about that, but I tried to get in lots of different characters from different stories and parts of the DC universe. Anyway, for this tier list, we're going to do something slightly different. The tier list here doesn't really matter, it is all about this. And I'm going to rank all these superheroes on what kind of lightsaber they would have. So if they would have a red lightsaber because they use anger or something as their like source of power, or if they have blue because they're like a Jedi Guardian and everything. So I thought that would be a cool idea. It's very different to some stuff I've done, and it's combining Star Wars and DC, which are just my two favorite things. Well, pretty much, yeah. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Before we start with the actual tier list, though, or the tiering, I guess, I will explain what these lightsaber colors mean because I know some people don't know, and that's perfectly fine. So, red is obviously the lightsaber of the Sith. Sith use anger as their power, so it's like it basically means angry, and evil or malicious, just not good basically. And then yellow is the color of lightsaber that Jedi Sentinels use, and Jedi Sentinels are Jedi that prefer knowledge and skills over the force in combat. So they prefer more practical skills and more like book smarts. In general, just stuff that isn't fighting and using force powers a lot. So more academic. So that's basically them. They're in the Clone Wars, and obviously Rey gets one, but we don't care about Rey. But yeah, if you want to know more about them, watch some of the Clone Wars. They're in a couple episodes and everything. Anyway, then we got green, and green is I think you can put them under Jedi Guardian as well. The Jedi Guardians are the Jedi that go out and actually do the missions, like Ahsoka and Anakin and Obi-Wan and like Plo Koon and Mundi. They are all Jedi Guardians. They're the ones you actually see the most. But the green lightsaber means that they prefer force powers. So like less combat. Obviously, they're still good at combat, but less combat, more focus on force and mind tricks and stuff like that. And then blue, obviously, that's just the. I don't want to use the word generic, but they are like the generic Jedi's. Like, they're the Jedi's you think of when you think of Jedi. They're just there to, like, fight, and they're enforcers, basically. And then purple. Purple slightly different. Obviously, we only really know Mace Windu has a purple lightsaber, and purple means they are able to use some of the dark side in their abilities, but they're able to resist it. It's kind of a little um, middle ground between light and dark, but they're still on the force of good. That's my understanding of it anyway. So if it's any different, then just please let me know in the comments. And then there's white. And white means that a kyber crystal has been healed or purified. Basically means, someone who was bad has become good, or someone has like been rebirthed or just become a new person, kinda. I think that's why Ahsoka has two white lightsabers in the Mando show. So, those are the colors. Now, obviously, this for people that have OCD like me, this is going to be kind of annoying. I'm going to be doing these lightsaber tier list on what actually suits them, not the color scheme. So that's going to be really annoying for a lot of people, including me. So, like, say for example, Batwoman, I don't think she's going to get a red lightsaber. So, the aesthetic and the coolness of these heroes, it's going to be a little bit awkward, and I'm totally aware of that. Trust me, it is annoying to me as well. But hopefully my reasons make sense and you can see why I put them in certain groups of lightsabers. And also, one last little thing before we get started. I have moved the tier list to the side so I can have a picture of whatever superheroine I'm talking about at that time. And also so it's easier for you guys when you're looking at the video to skip to someone who you really want to hear about, because I'm aware not everyone will want to hear about every single one of these characters. So, Let's start first, and obviously all alphabetical order. Let's start first with Artemis. So this is the Amazon Artemis, not the Artemis from Young Justice, I think it is. Now, I think that Artemis immediately has either a blue or purple lightsaber. She is obviously more physical, but I think that the purple could suit her. She isn't evil, but she's kind of like Jason Todd and could be seen as an anti hero. So I think purple makes perfect sense for her. Now we have Barbara Gordon. Now, I think personally, I prefer Oracle. I prefer the Oracle version of Barbara Gordon to the Batgirl version because the Oracle version is just way more interesting and different to other members of the Bat family. But I will try and talk about her in general, encompassing all her different kind of personas. My immediate thought is that she gets a yellow lightsaber because she is more focused on her techs and gadgets. Even as Batgirl, I still think that she would suit a yellow lightsaber, so I'm going to go yellow here. She probably could have got maybe a blue, but I think yellow suits her a bit more. Then we have Batwoman. Batwoman is a little bit like Artemis, but I don't think she would have a purple lightsaber. Maybe in the very early stages of her crime fighting when she was just starting out, but certainly not now. I think she gets a blue lightsaber because I can totally see her as a Jedi Guardian fighting alongside like Anakin or someone. So I think giving her a blue makes perfect sense. And then Beryl Hutchinson. I think I said that right. Anyway, she is the squire to the knight, which is like Batman and Robin of England. They're in Batman Incorporated. And she is actually such a great character, but there isn't really much about her. She needs a little bit more content, in my opinion. But from what I know about her, she would most likely have a blue lightsaber because she takes over the mantle as knight when the former knight, I think he just retires. I'm not sure if he dies. I'm not sure about that. But she is a really good fighter and she becomes knight, so I got to give her a blue one. And now Big Barda. This is another one of my favorite DC characters. Um, she is a female Fury. So it is actually kind of pretty straightforward with her. As a Fury, she would have had a red lightsaber, right? Because she was working for Darkseid. But now that she's with Scott and she's actually been herself and she's good, you obviously are not going to give her a red lightsaber. You could argue, of course, that she could have a purple one, but I think white makes much more sense because she's basically become a different person. Well, not completely different, but she's embraced the good side. Now we've got Black Canary. She's a little bit different because I feel like she could either like easily be blue or green. I feel like a lot of characters will be either one of these, but I think I'm going to put Black Canary in green, and that is because of her screams. Obviously, she's a really physical fighter, but the shouts are like her thing, and that's kind of like the Force in some ways, so I think that just works better if she has a green lightsaber. Okay, now we got Bleeze. Bleeze is a red lantern, and it's so nice because her lightsaber is actually going to fit her aesthetic. She's not really a bad guy, but like Atrocitus, they're red lanterns, but they're not necessarily bad people, if you know what I mean. There's kind of a middle ground there. Obviously, she's not going to get a purple, and she uses her rage, so it has to be red. It can't be any of the other ones. And she kind of reminds me of a Sarge Ventress. I don't know why, but I keep getting the Sarge Ventress vibes from her. Bruno, okay, she's a Nazi and she hates stuff, so she kind of has to be red as well. She would not be anything else. Then we have Bryce Wayne. Bryce Wayne is the gender bent version of Bruce Wayne from an alternate reality where she's half Atlantean or she has Atlantean powers or something like that. Bryce is motivated by anger when her equivalent of Selena Kyle dies, so I think that warrants a red lightsaber, and she is just kind of evil as well. Okay, Bulleteer. Bulleteer's pretty cool, good, like, unique character. But I think she's just a blue. She's good at fighting, and her skin makes her like stronger and indestructible. So I think that just warrants a blue. Bumblebee. She built her own suit as well as some of her gadgets, so that immediately makes me think of yellow, like for Barbara Gordon. Yellow would look awesome with her as well. It would fit her aesthetic. So it does make some sense. She's really smart and good at making things, so that's totally yellow, and it's another one that fits the awesome aesthetic tier. Now we have Carol Ferris. I've found that Carol is kind of a weird character. She's been a villain in the past, but is Hal's boss and love interest sometimes. I've never really properly figured out like who she is, if that makes sense. I think because she has a mix of morals and because it would look really awesome, I think I will actually give her a purple lightsaber. Cassandra Cain. Cass definitely has a blue lightsaber. It just makes a lot of sense to give her that one that is completely melee orientated. She would look pretty cool with it as well. I feel like it wouldn't entirely ruin her aesthetic. Okay, now Catwoman. I feel like this is going to be really controversial. So to decide what lightsaber Selena gets, we have to decide if she has redeemed herself and if she's an actual superhero like now, or if she's still one of Batman's rogues. I would like to think that Selena would have the white lightsaber, but I think others would argue she is always going to have a bad streak in her. But she nearly married Batman, and she's a lot more like a Bat family member and a vigilante than like a criminal now. So I think it is reasonable to give her white instead of purple. Cheetah is another character that is driven by rage. Obviously, there is a lot more to her character, but giving her a red lightsaber makes good sense. Cheshire. I feel like Cheshire, while being very physical in combat and very efficient at it, her ability when it comes to stealth and sleight of hand gives her a green lightsaber instead. She certainly isn't driven by rage, so she doesn't get a red one. And she is all about using tactics to take people out, so I think giving her a green one makes sense. Once again, she could probably be either here. Okay, Dawnstar is very much a yellow lightsaber welder. She's very good at tracking and can fly. Of course, she can fight, but yellow would be perfect for her. She gives off like ranger vibes and everything, a little bit like Aragorn, which I just think is so cool. Donna Troy. I know next to nothing about Donna Troy, but I'm pretty confident to give her a blue lightsaber. I don't think she would have any of the other ones. Maybe a white one, but I'm just going to put her in blue. Dove. Though blue would look amazing for her, I feel like she would either have a yellow or a green one. She is really good at fighting. Obviously, she's the avatar of peace. I think that leans towards a green lightsaber with her, like, being able to reason or have a calm mind and that kind of stuff. She's just, while she is physical, she's a lot less physical than these ones here, I think. Dr. Light. Now, obviously, this is the female Dr. Light. She is 100% a green or yellow one. She is definitely not any of the others, that's for sure, and I think that yellow is probably the better pick. If she was a bit better at hand-to-hand combat or had like a melee weapon or something, I would probably give her green. But I think yellow is perfect. Enchantress. Now, of course, we're going to want her to have a green one because that just fits and it would look awesome. But purple is a pretty good pick for her as well, seeing as she has two different forms. But I feel like in the comics, she has a lot of control over all of that, so I am actually going to give her a green. Giganta. I don't think Giganta is angry enough to get a red one, so I think I'm just going to go blue because being physical is like literally her superpower. Then we have Grace. Now, Grace, I don't know lots about her, but if I had to give her a lightsaber, I think I would give her purple, and that's because she seems a lot like a anti-hero, like I said with Artemis. She gives off big anti-hero vibes, and she is, I think, half Amazonian. So I feel like a lot of Amazons will slowly lean between purple and blue and stuff, especially Artemis. Well, especially ones like Artemis, and I feel Grace is a little bit like Artemis. Grail. Grail definitely gets a red, that's a no-brainer. Her and her mother's anger towards Darkseid is basically what causes the war between Darkseid and the Anti-Monitor, so it just makes perfect sense to give her a red one. Harley Quinn. Now, this is going to be controversial as well. So I don't think that she gets a red one, even though that would be kind of cool. I think she actually gets a purple one. She hasn't really gone full hero, so she doesn't really get a white one. The purple one makes more sense because she does morally right things in like some morally wrong ways. So that's my reason for purple. I can see why people would think white or Maybe, nah, I don't think people put red, but like these three here, I think it's between, and I'm going purple. Hawk Girl. Hawk Girl is an interesting character and has a strong connection to the cycle of life and death. I think that means she actually leans towards a white lightsaber, but I'm not entirely sure. She is really physical the way she fights, having a massive mace and everything. But I think I'm actually going to give her a white lightsaber because that's her whole thing, being rebirthed, and she's this old being that's, been constantly rebirthed. So I think white's a good idea. Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons, I feel like she would either have a green or yellow one. I know I say this a lot, but it's one of these two here. In the past, I think she would have had a green or blue one, back in the when she was fighting alongside people like Black Adam and all of that. I read one comic book about it, so I do know what I'm talking about. She would have had like a green or blue one back then, but I think now with Diana as Wonder Woman and Hippolyta staying in Themyscira a lot to be their queen, I feel like she would have a yellow one. Holly Granger. This is a no-brainer, really. She gets red because she is literally the avatar of war, and she's kind of a pretty angry individual as well. So, yeah. Huntress. I think Huntress would either have a purple or a blue one. I think because she is a slightly edgy character and it would look awesome, I'm gonna give her purple. Okay, Katana. I totally believe that Katana would have a blue lightsaber. She's not a villain and she has strong morals and is a very physical fighter. You could maybe put her in green because of her sword capturing souls and that, but I think blue would just look very nice with her. Okay, next up, Killer Frost. Frost is mainly thought of as a villain, but in the comics, she was actually part of the Justice League of America and a pretty viable member there, pretty valuable as well. I think this gives her the opportunity to have a white lightsaber. Knockout. I don't know too much about Knockout, but I do know that she was a female Fury, so she kind of earns her red lightsaber. Lady Blackhawk, she gets a yellow lightsaber because she has a lot of talents that aren't really to do with fighting. She's a very good pilot and just good at intelligence in general. Otherwise, she'd probably have a blue one, I think. Lady Frankenstein. She's an awesome character, and I think that purple is the only color that really suits her. She could have a blue, but I think because of her use of guns and her mercenary style nature, she should have a purple lightsaber. Or she'd like collect them like Grievous and just have a whole lot of different colors. Livewire. I always get Livewire and Killer Frost mixed up for some reason. I don't particularly know why, but I think that Livewire just gets a blue lightsaber. Her whole thing is zapping people with lightning and just fighting in general. I don't think that warrants a red or a green lightsaber, so that's why I'm going to give her a blue one. That and the fact that it would look really, really cool. Lois Lane obviously has to be yellow as well. She has all the ability and talents to have a yellow lightsaber. She can still hold her own in combat too because of like her military childhood and upbringing, but I think that she would kind of be an awesome Jedi, but she'd definitely be more of a Jedi Sentinel than a Jedi Guardian. Mary Marvel, I think she is a blue lightsaber welder. She's all about fighting, and you could argue that she could have a green one, but I don't really think she would have one. Blue and green are really similar, so it often comes down to either personal preference or small little details, and in this case, I think a blue one would be better. Mira. I don't know why, but I totally get green lightsaber vibes from Mira. I imagine her being like a Jedi Master, sitting on the council that would only fight when she really needed to. I actually think she would be really cool as a Jedi. Out of all the characters here, she's one of the ones I think, like, I just really want to see a fan art of Mira as a Jedi or something because I think that would just be really cool. Miss Martian, I gotta be completely honest, I'm really unsure with her. I think it would either be green or yellow. I think green probably makes more sense because she's a lot more physical than a lot of the yellow lightsaber characters here. Mongal, she would be red. She isn't like a Red Lantern, but she does use her rage to help her out a bit, so it just makes sense. Now, I don't know how to pronounce this exactly, but is it Onyx? I I'm gonna Google Translate it. How to pronounce
Onyx.
Onyx. Okay, I'm just gonna go with Onyx. But she totally gets a white lightsaber. Since she was a very good assassin in the League of Assassins and then retired to be a vigilante and a good ally of Batman, it just makes sense. She's really underrated too. I mean, I didn't even know how to pronounce her name, but I still think she's a good character. Okay, Orca. I could easily say that Orca just gets a red lightsaber like I did with Mongal, but I think she could possibly have a blue or yellow one when she's in human form. Well, definitely a yellow one when she's in human form. I mean, she is a villain, and most villains do use anger, so I am going to give her a blue. Sorry, a red, but if she was in human form, I would definitely give her a yellow. Poison Ivy. Yeah, I gotta give her a green. The reason isn't just because she has a green aesthetic, it's because she is a fighter, but she doesn't actually fight a lot herself. She uses her vines and plants like a Jedi would use their force powers. Power Girl. There is no way Power Girl doesn't have a blue lightsaber. It just fits her character totally, and she is like she would be the perfect Jedi Guardian. That would just be so cool. Punchline. I'm not really sure about Punchline. Honestly, I don't know much about her. I've heard she's a pretty meh character. So I'm not really sure where to put her. I guess I will just put her in red though. She's a bad guy and she's got to be angry about something, right? Yeah. Raven could be either green or yellow. You could argue she could have a white lightsaber because she's healed herself from like being the daughter of a demon. Um, so I think I will actually give her a white one for that reason. Renee Montoya gets a yellow one because of her detective skills, and she can fight, but being the question, she's mostly known for her detective skills and her intelligence. So being yellow just makes sense. Rose Wilson, the daughter of Deathstroke. I'm not sure what others will think, but as a DC fan who knows a medium amount about Rose Wilson, I would give her a purple one. She always kind of treads the line between an anti-hero and a bit of a villain, um, as well as like just being a fully fledged hero in like the deceased universe and everything. So I think that gives her a purple one. Okay. Now we've got Starfire. That's another green character, I think. Not because her powers are green, but because she can be a force of peace and isn't as violent as some of the characters here. Uh, she's yeah, she's pretty cool. Stargirl. I know very little about Stargirl, but I feel like she would have a blue lightsaber. I don't know why, but I get that vibe from her. Not just because of her color scheme, but because she doesn't seem as reserved as some of these. And obviously, she's a younger character, so giving her a blue lightsaber makes more sense. Because, a green lightsaber, from what we've seen in Star Wars, it comes from experience. You know, how Luke only got his green lightsaber after having experience and training. Stephanie Brown, blue lightsaber as well, I feel. Probably for the same reason. She would be a really funny Padawan, though. I think her and Ahsoka Tano would bounce off each other so well, and that would just be hilarious. Supergirl. Now, Kara could have a red lightsaber because we all know that she was actually a Red Lantern for a bit. But that was only once, and I don't really see her as an angry individual, so she certainly isn't evil. So I think blue it is. Talia al Ghul. Talia is another good example of a yellow Jedi. She has so many different skills that don't have anything to do with fighting, so it makes sense to put her in that category. I feel like she isn't really any of the other ones. Timber. Now, people won't know Timber. Well, a lot of you won't know Timber, but she is a lesser known character, and I put her on this list in hope that some people would maybe go and explore her character because she's really, really cool. She's really unique too. I mean, her power is just, size stuff like Ant-Man and the Atom and stuff, but she is really cool. As for a lightsaber, she would probably get a blue one because she's very physical and her like Giganta, her ability is all about, being physical. Tough Bunny. I know there have been a lot of blue lightsabers in the past couple minutes, but I think Tough Bunny would be another one. She's all about strength. That's her thing. So she would be a fighter. She would be a Jedi Guardian. Okay, Vixen. Vixen has really close connection with nature and the animals that live within it. So for that reason, I'm going to give her a green one. She could use her like her powers with nature as force powers, if you know what I mean. It's the kind of similar. So that's why I'm giving her green. White Rabbit. I know pretty much zero about White Rabbit, but after some research, I found out that she has enhanced speed. She also doesn't seem to be much of a fighter, so I'm going to give her a yellow. Oh, I'm going to give her a yellow lightsaber. Now we've got Wonder Woman. Um, I know Wonder Woman is one of the main characters of DC. You know, she is one of the three main characters. She's in the Trinity, right? I decided to give her a blue lightsaber, and that is because she is strong, a good fighter, and would be amazing at helping people and just planets in general as a Jedi. She would make the perfect Jedi Guardian. She kinda has everything that being a Jedi Guardian means. So I totally think that being a Jedi Guardian with just a simple blue lightsaber is perfect for her. Okay, Yara Floor. I'm going to go with the same logic that I went for with Diana, and I'm going to give her a blue lightsaber. I think she has the same vibes and would be a good choice for a Jedi Guardian. And now, the last character, Zatanna. Obviously, I'm going to give Zatanna a green lightsaber because of her ability to have powers and magic. That's kind of like the Force. She's much more of a power fighter than a physical one. So I think that warrants her a green lightsaber. And there we have it. That is the tier list. I actually got through this a lot quicker than I thought I would. I was expecting to probably have to do a whole two-parter on this, but obviously not. I got through it pretty quick. I hope you guys agreed with all of this. It was actually really fun doing this and putting this tier list together. Obviously, I'll leave a link in the description like I always do for tier lists, so you can go do this yourself. Obviously, you don't have to do lightsabers, but yeah. This is really fun. Hopefully, I will get around to doing a male version of this tier list as well. The exact same thing with lightsaber colors and everything, and talking about how they would be if they were Jedi. I'll do that on like, when's Men's Mental Health? Is that October or November? Movember. So November, I think I'll do a male version of this tier list, and hopefully you guys enjoy it as much as you enjoyed this one. So that's basically it from me, guys. I hope you really enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, Mike.